Hey guys, Naz here with another video. In this video I'll be reviewing Octopath Traveler 2. I played the first game so I will mention the changes throughout the video, and with that out the way, let's get into this, yeah? We'll cover the story first since I'm sure this is what most of us play for. Unlike your typical RPG game, Octopath doesn't have a main character. It instead has 8 protagonists and each of them have a unique story. You will be able to recruit all 8 of them, so don't worry which one you pick. One thing to note is the character you start with will be locked in your party until you finish their story, while your other characters can freely swap around as you need their path actions to help progress the story. An amazing addition this game had was the cross paths. Cross paths is where 2 protagonists were the main focus instead of just one. This helped flesh out the characters more and made the story more immersive. Unlike the first game, the true ending is displayed on the map after completing all main stories and crossed paths. I really love this tiny change because it made it hard for anyone to miss the true ending. The developers did such a fantastic job tying the stories together and even added an epilogue. They went above and beyond from the first game's ending and I appreciated every bit of it. I absolutely love the storytelling in this game. It's very distinct from most games as you have 8 different stories that feel standalone, but once you finish all 8 you then appreciate the beauty of the bigger picture. It felt like it was a big jigsaw puzzle and you had no idea what you were trying to piece together, but once the pieces started falling into place and you're asking yourself, wait a minute, does X and Y go together? That's where the magic begins and it kept me hooked. I found it so hard to put this game down that I completed in just 6 days. For anyone who doesn't know, I don't really care for the story in a video game, so for me to praise it so highly, it means a lot. If you love a good story, then you have to play this. After completing the story, the game has a bunch of optional bosses and even a secret super boss. This was one of my main issues from the first game because I loved it so much that I wanted more content, but all they had was the secret super boss. I was satisfied with the additional content, but I wanted even more as this is one of my favorite series from Square Enix. Since this is a JRPG, it's expected that there's side quests, and this game has a good amount. The sequel expanded on this by giving multiple main characters of each protagonist's story a side quest to flesh them out even more. The side quests give unique rewards that you can't find anywhere else and they're the best in the game, so it was rewarding not only completing them for the lore, but for the best equipment. Now for the main reason why I played this game. I'm a sucker for job system that allows for multiple builds and expression of creativity. The 8 characters each have their own class, and as you progress through the game you'll find guilds that allow you to use these classes on any character. Each class learns 8 skills and 4 passives. You can assign a sub-job to any main job and now have access to 16 skills in battle. You only get 4 passive slots, so it gets very competitive on which 4 you want to keep. I had a blast min-maxing to create some broken builds. An early game example was using Agnia's dancing session Peaceful Prelude, which gives any dance partner 75 SP, and Oswald with his AoE magic. This gave Oswald infinite SP and a magic damaging buff to help kill trash battles easy. This allowed me to easily sail through the game, and it's a very basic example. There are a lot better ones, but they're spoiler related. This game was made by the same developers as Bravely Default, and I absolutely love that series. While this game has half the jobs as Bravely Default, it does make up for it with the higher quality that the jobs aren't replaced or easily forgotten. That's the core class system, and now let's go over combat. Enemies will have a shield which indicates how many times you must exploit their weakness. After doing so, the enemy will break that turn and the next turn. When an enemy is broken, they will take 50% more damage and lose that turn. This may not sound that interesting, but trust me, it is. This was the first turn-based RPG game that made me feel like I was playing Grandmaster Chess. Setting up a break 4 turns in advance to finally see it come into fruition is one of the most satisfying things when you kill the boss. The bosses aren't pushovers and are constantly pressuring you with damage, spawning ads, or even changing their own weakness. You can enhance your attacks by boosting. Boosting consumes a battle point that is accumulated each turn unless you boost a prior turn. You can consume 3 boosts at most, which will allow you to do more damage, increase a hit count, extend the duration of a buff or debuff, or increase the success rate of a skill. This was such a well done system rather than just focusing on damage and brought out more tactical options. While we're on gameplay, let's go over the game's amazing soundtrack. I praised the first game's soundtrack so much that this one kinda lost that magic. The music isn't bad per se, but the seamless transition was less noticeable. Instead, they just dropped the music altogether and then started up the battle music. Whereas in the first game, it had the background music playing, and then when they transitioned to the boss fight, it either had a higher or lower note to make it seem like there was no drop of music at all. This was something I never experienced and what stood out to me from the first game, and unfortunately, this diminished a little in this game. The soundtracks are still amazing, it's just that seamless transition kinda got lost. Something that was present in the first game but not given much thought was the night and day cycle. In this game, however, there are exclusive NPCs and the music changed to a calmer tone for the night while the day is more upbeat. I mostly played the game during the night since it was nice and relaxing. Since we touched on the night and day cycle, another thing introduced in the game was more path actions. Each character now has 2 path actions instead of 1 from the first game. This improved the gameplay overall as more characters can now obtain items, information, or even beat up NPCs that are in your way. Now for something that was improved from the first game, the graphics. The first game was very gorgeous for HD pixels. This game went above and beyond and had those pixel enhanced, and I was mind blown with how beautiful this game looked. I played the demo on the Switch and I couldn't believe what I was looking at. I later got the copy on PC and it looked even better. Some other improvements were the jobs. The warrior now learns skills from beating up NPCs with challenge on top of its existing skills. This made it feel like a blue mage from Final Fantasy, and I was always excited coming across new NPCs to see what I may learn. The hunter got a massive buff by having infinite pets. In the first game it had limited usage, and after those were used up, you had to go outside and catch that pet all over again. This was so tedious, and it made for a very scarce usage of your resources. They did however have to nerf the 10-star pets, as these are very powerful and with infinite usage would be kinda broken. I didn't mind that as I could finally use good pets throughout my run, and I just caught a bunch of 9 stars and abused those. Now I know there are a lot of positives, so what are the negatives? Remember when I said the character you started with is locked in your party? This was the same from the first game, and the bigger issue still remains. You have one character that cannot leave until you finish their story, which means by the time they do, they're so overleveled from the rest of your party. A simple fix was to allow characters not being used to get a portion of the XP you get in battle, or not have the lock in the first place. Besides that, I wish there was a better critical hit indicator. It was very annoying as someone who loves to min-max damage that there was no way to differentiate a critical hit when an enemy is broken because all numbers are in red. Outside of the enemy being broken, red text would show if it's a critical hit or a weakness hit, but since all hits are effective during a break, it made this a lot harder to notice, and this is the same issue from the first game. A simple fix to this was to use a different color or just have the critical text display like you see in other RPG games. Outside of that though, they did handle the other issues I had from the first game, so progress was made, and I was more than content. This game kept what was good and fixed upon the issues I had from the first game, and for that, I have to give Octopath Traveler a 10 out of 10, and I can't wait for the next game. And don't forget, if this video brought you value, please leave a like and consider subscribing to see more, as I play a wide array of RPG games, and I break them down just like this. Until the next video, I'll see ya.